All right, awesome. Well, good to know, guys. So let's tell you a little bit about why we're running this training right now. We had a lot of requests for people who wanted to know the nitty gritty of Facebook and actually learn the basics of it. And Amanda has been teaching this for a while. For those of you who do not know Amanda, she actually is she started as a multimedia producer for a multi-million-dollar cosmetic brand. And I'm lucky to call her my fiance, and we also co-own this Design for Agents. So this is what's being brought to you by Design for Agents, e-commerce geared to making sure that you guys have the organization tools, all the tools you need in order to succeed in this real estate business. So without further ado, I want to welcome Amanda, my fiance, onto her.
Hello, good evening, everybody. How's everyone doing?
Good. How are you, Amanda?
I'm good. I am highly caffeinated. I'm ready to talk all things Facebook ads lingo and break it down for you guys. And I'm especially excited about the Q&A portion of this because I know that's where the magic happens in particular. So thank you, Alex, for bringing me on and getting everybody situated in this room. All right, so for the time being, I am going to mute everybody. All right, you'll all still have the power to unmute yourselves, but just so that we're good on audio, I'm gonna do it that way. So let me just share my screen and then we can kick this off. So I will say, bear with me, I'll be letting people into the room as we go. I know we're gonna have latecomers, real estate. And then also, if you have questions about something in particular that I am covering, you can either put it into the chat, and if I feel like it's something that we should definitely address in the moment, I'll answer the question right then. Otherwise, we're going to save all the questions for the Q&A, because when I tell you that we're going to cover a lot, we're going to cover a lot. I'm going to go step by step, but the beauty of this is that by the time you walk away from this training, you will have a complete understanding of Facebook ads, the Facebook ads business manager, Facebook ads manager, how ads actually work in general, as well as how to create an ad. And I'm going to show you some examples of ads that have actually been successful for us and the strategies behind those ads. All right, so let's go ahead and share the screen. Awesome. And then let me go ahead and minimize you guys over here. Perfect. All right, here we go. So we are going to be learning quite a bit tonight. So I'm going to go over prerequisites for Facebook ads, some things that you need to make sure you have situated before you actually tackle the ads themselves. I'm going to be covering how to create a Facebook ads account, how to create a business manager account, right? Because you should not be running your Facebook ads by hitting that little blue promote post button on Facebook. That's not the way to go about it, okay? We want to be very, very strategic with the way that we do this. So I'm going to help you set it up the correct, proper way, right? We're also going to be covering Facebook ads lingo, including the Facebook pixel itself, how to create it and get it onto your website. I'm going to talk about the special ads category, and then we're going to end off with how to create an ad as well as a $20 a day strategy. And I'm going to teach you how to cut that budget in half. In case you're working with a slightly smaller budget, but you still want to get started nonetheless. All right, so let's cover those prerequisites. I'm pretty sure most people in here have a real estate website. Now, the bigger question is, do you have everything you need in order to actually generate leads using Facebook ads, right? Because it doesn't just take a website. A big question that I get all the time is, Amanda, can I run Facebook ads through my personal Facebook page? And the answer to that is a hard no. You need to have a Facebook business page. You need to have a Facebook ads account. You need to have a website to send traffic to. You need to have an irresistible offer, right? If you've been in real estate for a bit or you have any kind of background in marketing or sales, you definitely know that having an irresistible offer helps a lot in terms of actually converting potential clients into actual clients that close, right? You're also going to need a budget. Now, budgets fluctuate. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through this. And then I also want to break down in detail the special ads category, because this specifically applies to you in real estate. And what I don't want to happen is for you guys to run ads and then you get put in Facebook ads jail. It's not a fun place to be in. I personally spent some time in there multiple times, whether it was my own fault or just, a simple bot bug on behalf of Facebook. I don't want that to happen to you guys, so we're going to cover that as well. Now, let's jump into the lingo. There's some things that I want to make sure that you understand. When you first run Facebook ads, you're going to find that there's all these different, metrics, all these different columns, breaking different data down. And if you don't know anything about those, what those things mean, you're kind of at a loss. You don't really know what is a good return on your ad spend, right? You're really only going to think about it in terms of, okay, how much am I spending and how many leads am I getting? Those are not the only two things that you want to be tracking. You want to make sure that you're tracking some other metrics, like for example, impressions, right? So an impression is one instance of your ad being seen by one person, right? So a lot of times when you run ads, your impressions are going to be a lot higher than your click-throughs, and they're going to be a lot higher than your reach. Right now, reach, this is the number of unique people who have seen your ad, right? So this means that they could have been scrolling on their timeline and they happen to just pass by it, right? But they didn't necessarily click through or anything like that. So Facebook is tracking all of this. Now, CPA, you're going to see this inside of the Facebook Ads Manager once you start getting it rolling and you're running your ads. This is your cost per acquisition, right? For a lot of us, if you do postcarding or if you do Zillow Premier Agent, or if you do things organically on social media or any other kind of marketing, especially paid marketing, you know that it costs a lot more money to get a brand new client or customer than it does to get a referral, right? That's just an obvious. So cost per acquisition, we're going to want to pay attention to this when we're running ads, because the numbers have to make sense, right? Now, the boost promote button, I just want to lightly kind of dust off this subject. Don't run your ads that way. I see a lot of real estate agents, especially on Instagram, you'll see the promote button there or the boost button on Facebook. I think they recently changed it to promote actually. Don't run your ads through there. There's not a lot of strategy that you can implement when you do it that way. You want to make sure that you're running the ads directly through the ads manager, and we're going to cover that. All right. Now, cost per click, right? So we talked about CPA and how that is, cost per acquisition. Big words, basically, how much are you spending to get a buyer or seller lead, right? CPC is how much you're spending to get someone to click through to your website. This is a very different metric, right? But it's a metric that we want to pay attention to nonetheless, because this helps us understand, okay, if I'm getting a lot of impressions, so a lot of people are seeing my ad, and I'm getting a lot of clicks, right? But I'm not getting any leads. This tells you something very important. It tells you that something might be wrong with your website, the landing page that you're using, right? So the reason that we pay attention to these metrics is to help us understand what might be working or not working with our Facebook ads, all right? Frequency, right? This is one that trips people up. And this is actually basically Facebook measuring how often one person sees your ad, right? So let's say that you run an ad and there's a frequency of 1.5. That means that the average person who came across your ad saw your ad a total of 1.5 times across the span that you were running the ad. So if you ran the ad for an entire month, right, and the average person who saw it only saw it 1 or 2 times, your frequency number is probably going to be 1 point something or 2. Now, the best kind of ad is where you can get your frequency higher up in those numbers, right? We'll talk a little bit about that further into this training. But this is important because think about marketing, branding, the idea of you get familiar with a brand, you get familiar with a business and their name and their logo and the products that they offer when you see those products more often, right? So frequency is an important metric to pay attention to when you're running these ads. Click-through rate, right? We covered. Now, briefly on campaigns. So within Facebook ads, which I'll show you towards the ending of this training, you have campaigns, you have ad sets, and then you have ads. And I'll give you a nice breakdown when we get towards the end of here of how exactly that works, because it can be a bit frustrating if you're just running Facebook ads for the first time and you're kind of like, well, what's the difference between ad sets and ads, right? Now, let's actually skip through all those two pieces because we're going to break that down in depth later. And I know that I want to cover as much as possible in here, and you guys are probably more so interested in the actual ad strategies that work and how to build the ad and get your pixel set up and all that jazz. So just a brief note about retargeting, right? Now, today we're going to actually cover the Facebook pixel, how to get it set up, and how to actually get it on your website. Now, the reason that you want to not skip this part and to actually implement using the Facebook pixel is because it's going to allow you to harness the power of retargeting. And when I tell you that you want to harness the power of retargeting, I mean, would it not be, how much fun would it be if you could run an ad and then every time a buyer or seller, just anywhere on the internet, they could be on a number of different websites, news sites, social media sites, they see your other ads over and over again. You're essentially following them across the internet. This can be very powerful, especially if you're a real estate agent or broker who is trying to build brand within a specific marketplace, right? You don't want to sleep on retargeting, and we won't go deep into retargeting tonight because that's a training for another day, but it's a very fun training because there's some very, very interesting strategies that you can use to get in front of sellers, not just buyers. All right. So some of those strategies include utilizing lookalike audiences, right? So what is a lookalike audience? It's basically when you take all of the people who have visited your website and you tell Facebook, I would like to start searching for people who have similarities to these people. Right now, this is an advanced strategy that we won't cover tonight, but I do want you to know about it because I know that there's some people in this room who probably have some experience with Facebook ads, and this might interest you. If this particular topic does interest you, I want you to put that in the chat, or better yet, send Alex a text message. You probably spoke to him when you came in here, and let him know because he can hook you up with the training that does talk about that. All right. And lastly, funnel, right? Funnels are important. We'll touch on that very briefly towards the ending of this training. But when you're running your Facebook ads, you don't just want to have an ad that goes to a landing page or your website, and then from there you get the lead and then that's it. You don't want that to be the end of the situation, because you're going to have a lot of leads fall through the cracks, especially when you start to see how many leads you're actually going to be generating. All right. So let's jump in to creating the Facebook business page. So before I go through there, how many of us actually have a Facebook business page? I want to say that I hope it's everyone in this room. Let's see. And I know Alex is taking care of the chat right now. Yes, Josh Handler, absolutely. You must have. Awesome. Okay, so it looks like everyone has one. Great. So I will just cruise through this section. If you don't have a Facebook business page, what you're going to do is go to your personal Facebook account. There's a little plus sign on the top right corner. You'll just hit that and then hit to create a page, right? Right there where the green arrow is, right? Let me minimize this so we can see. There we go. And you're just going to follow the prompts. Very easy. This is probably the easiest thing that you will do. Now let's dive into the actual point of this training, which is creating a business manager account. A lot of people think that they can really just run ads from their business account and that's that. The business manager account is actually a totally different tool, and it has an abundant amount of resources that you can use at your disposal. How you access this is to go to business.facebook.com, preferably /overview. And I think Alex can probably put this inside of the chat. So business.facebook.com, you want to go to this particular website in order to get your business manager set up. That's going to be the easiest way for you to get there. Now, when you do get there, what you're going to want to do is hit the blue button on the top right that says create account. From there, you're going to get prompted with questions like, what is your business name and account name? They'll also ask you for the actual location of the business and whether or not you sell services or goods and services. And then they'll just request that you confirm your email address. So once you do this very quick, easy process, you're probably going to land on a page that looks similar to this. And the idea is that you see this little red verify your business email to continue. they just want you to confirm your email address. So it's pretty much the last step. You'll get an email that looks just like this or similar. Facebook is always changing how things look. You'll hit that little blue confirm button, and then you're good to go. Your business manager account is set up. Now, the second step here is to connect a business page to the business manager account. All right. So again, business.facebook.com. And what you want to do is add /settings/pages. Now, you do not have to use these specific links in order to get here, but I'm just putting these links out there as sort of an easy DIY option for you, because it's a lot easier for you to just kind of paste that in, put the URL into your web browser than it would be for you to kind of sift around and learn how to get there manually. All right, so when you get to this page, you're going to select the business manager account that you just created. So your page should look similar to what's up on the screen right now. When you click through there, it's going to take you to this section, right? Now, there's a whole lot going on in this section, and I don't want you to wind up here and get overwhelmed, because that is very, very easy. What we're going to cover is just the basic things that you need to get started. You don't have to worry about anything going on in that crazy left-hand menu. Yeah, I know you don't see it too much on this particular screen, but there's a crazy left-hand menu for those of you who already run Facebook ads. You know what I'm talking about. So we just want to connect our business page, right? So if you're well, everyone in here is a real estate agent. So real estate agents, you have a Facebook business page. We want to connect that page to the business manager account. So you're going to wind up at this page and you're going to hit that blue add button, right? And then you're just going to click on add a page. And then from there, you're going to type in the name of your page and it should pop up, right? You'll just click on it and then you'll hit that blue button, add page. And then you're good to go. You're going to hit the close button. So now after you've completed this step, you've created your business manager account. You've connected your business Facebook page to your business manager account, and you're now ready for the next step, which is to create a Facebook ads account. See, this is where the fun happens. This is where the magic happens. But you need to get this step done first. So the area that you're looking at right now up on the screen is the same exact area that we just were in. The only difference is that I've kind of slid moved the slides over a bit so you can see that expanded left side menu. Now, I want you to keep in mind that you might see some things that are redacted on this page. And you might have noticed that we're doing this training right now and I'm showing you slides. And the reason for that is I'll just drop in a funny little story. I don't think Alex thinks it's too funny though. But the funny story is we actually used to do these trainings live, and I would use our actual Facebook ads account to do those trainings. And unfortunately, that led to our Facebook ads account getting hacked. And hacked in such a bad way that it was how much? $14,000, Alex?
They try to charge $14,000.
Yeah, so we were charged $14,000 in fraudulent Facebook ads charges, and some crazy stuff happened with the account. That's a story. Yes, shout out to Chase and their security systems. They were very helpful. We were able to get the money back, but because of that, I redact certain information and we do it via slides. So the section that we have up on the screen right now is identical to where we were here, right? Now, what you're going to want to do is pay attention to the left-hand side menu. We want to click on add accounts, right? So you see pages is highlighted in blue. We just finished connecting our Facebook business page to our business manager account. Now what we want to do is create a Facebook ads manager account. So you're going to click on add accounts. And from there, this is going to open. Now, for you looking at my screen, you're going to see that it's grayed out, but it's because I've already connected an account. For you, if you haven't ever connected an account before, you're just going to hit that bottom option, create a new ad account, right? For those of you who are a little more advanced and you possibly have an admin in your real estate business, you can actually connect an ad account that they have, right? Training for a different day, but if you are on the more advanced side and you know about that, then that's something else that you could pick. For all of the newcomers here, you just want to select create a new ad account, and that's just going to bring up a pop-up that will ask you to name the account, name the time zone and the currency that the account will use, because they're going to bill you as you run these ads. And then you're going to state that you're making the account for your business, right? Unless you're doing it for a different business, like you're an admin or assistant or something watching this. All right. Now, the next pop-up is you're going to see the account permissions. You want to make sure that you have granted admin access, right? So all the way at the bottom where the green arrow is towards the right side, you're just going to make sure that that's toggled on. And then after that, you're going to click on the blue assign button, right? Then you're done. All you have to do is hit the close button and you're good to go. Now it's time to go on to actually looking at the ads manager area, right? So your account is set up, right? So your page is going to look like this after you hit that close button. Now, the green arrow on the screen, all the way towards the top left area, there's this button. And I don't know, maybe I'm just going to unshare for a second. Maybe you guys can help me, because as a teacher, I try to come up with interesting ways and the proper ways to label things. When you look at that little button with the 3 dots this way and 3 dots coming down, what would you call that? Because typically with the buttons that have the 3 lines, like on our Instagram accounts and Facebook accounts and the mobile apps, I call that the hamburger button because it looks like a sandwich. I, for the life of me, cannot come up with a name for this particular button that's a 3 by 3 or 9 dots, right? So the 9 dotted button, maybe we'll go with that. So you're going to click on that and expand it. Now, you're going to get a number of different options. The only option that I want you to pay attention to is Ads Manager. So you're going to click on that. All right. And this is going to take you to the area where you have all the fun. So this is the awesome space that you want to be in. But before we move forward with that, I want to make sure you have a pixel set up. Now, a little note about pixels, and I'll stop sharing for now. Here we go. So a little note about pixels. Let me just pin this over here. So when it comes to the Facebook pixel, let me just say this for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, or you've heard about it and you're kind of like, I get it, but I don't get it. I was there too at one point in time in the past. And oh, I love that tic-tac-toe. Sorry, I just realized the chat where you guys named it the tic-tac-toe. That's perfect. I'm going to use that moving forward. So the tic-tac-toe button. Tic-tac. Tic-tac. It's tic-tac-toe. Oh, tic-tac-toe. Apparently I didn't play the game enough as a child. All right. So let's talk about the Facebook pixel. Think about the Facebook pixel as, imagine if you were, well, first I'll give you the actual definition. Let's start there. So the Facebook pixel is a piece of code, right, that you place inside of your website on the back end. Don't get scared. This is actually a lot easier to do than it looks. We're going to do it together in a minute. It is a piece of code, or for those of you who are a little more tech savvy and on the nerdy side in terms of websites, it's an actual pixel, and it gets attached to your website, right? And what happens is every time someone visits your website, Facebook tracks this. They track who it was, like what their IP address is, what data is associated with that IP address, right? Everyone on here right now has an IP address currently, right? And every time you visit a website, like let's say Amazon or HomeDepot.com or Aldo Shoes or H&M or Cole Haan, right? All of those brands, they run retargeting ads, right? You ever go to those websites and then all of a sudden you're seeing their stuff all over the internet and you're like, why are you following me, you creepy business? This is how that's done, right? So the Facebook pixel is how that is done. They're tracking that data. And how this is very powerful for you is that, let's say, for example, that you get a brand new listing and you want to promote this listing, but you want to promote it in particular to the recent sellers that you've added into your CRM, right? This is very possible with the Facebook pixel. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen again so we can break down how to actually do this. So, and if anyone is unclear about the Facebook pixel, don't worry, don't feel bad about it. We can address it again in Q&A because I know that one can be a tricky one. So how do you actually create the Facebook pixel? Now, remember, we were inside of the ads area, right? I'll go back a little bit. We were in this area. right? Now we want to hit the, what is it? Tic-tac-toe?
Tic-tac-toe.
Tic-tac-toe button. And you want to click on Events Manager. All right. Now, when you go to the Events Manager, it's going to look like this on your screen. And what's going to happen is you're going to look on the left-hand side, there's a green plus sign. You're going to toggle that, and it's going to say Connect Data Sources. You want to make sure that you click on that. And this is going to give you 3 options. The option that you want to select is Web on the far left. So you're going to select Web, and then you're going to hit Get Started. From there, you're going to choose Facebook Pixel, right? And then you're going to hit Connect. Now, here's the part where I possibly leave you. So in terms of connecting the pixel to your actual website, this is very much dependent on the type of website that you are using. So for example, Alex and I, we are part of eXp Realty, which gives us access to KV Core, right? So KV Core is a CRM, which also includes a real estate website. Now, what's cool there is that we can log in, go into the back end, and there's a little box area that we can just paste the code in, right? So what code am I talking about? If you look on the screen, you see that there's 2 options. One of them is manually add pixel code to website, and the other is use a partner integration. So if some of you guys are using something like IDX Broker or one of those web solutions where, you know, they run a business specific for real estate agents, you might want to contact them because they could potentially install the Facebook Pixel for you, or they might be listed here and you can do it that way. Or you would choose manually add pixel code to website. So if you are running your real estate website through something like KV Core or through something like Squarespace, right? Those 2 options in particular, or Wix, right? I wouldn't recommend that. No offense to anyone in here. We could have a conversation about that later. But if you're working off of something like KV Core or Squarespace, you can click manually, and what's going to happen is they're going to give you the code that you're actually going to paste into the backend of your website. Usually, and I'm saying this for the more advanced, tech savvy people in this room right now, usually you would copy this code and you would paste it into the header, right? So if you don't know where to find the header, or you don't know where on your real estate website you would be able to paste a line of code, a custom line of code, right? If what I'm saying right now sounds like gibberish, that's okay. What you need to do, the next step after you've completed this, is you're going to want to contact whoever is the provider for your website, right? Just send them a support email and tell them, hey, I want to add the Facebook Pixel to my website. How do I do this? And they're going to be able to provide specific instructions. All right. So don't get scared. There's help out there. It just depends on what type of website it is that you are running. Right, so if you have something like KV Core or Squarespace, you could go ahead and copy that code and you'll paste that in, right? And it'll be easy peasy. So basically, you'll follow the prompts, and it all depends on your website, right? Now, let's talk about the special ad category rules before we actually jump into Facebook ad strategies and all of that stuff, right? Because we've accomplished a lot. Has everyone, like everything that I've gone over so far, who in here has actually done this so far in their Facebook ads manager or for their business in general, for their real estate business? Has anyone completed these steps? Put it in the chat whether or not you've done this already, so I know where we are in terms of everyone's experience level. Okay, perfect. I see some no's, I see some yeses. All right, good to know, good to know. So the next step that, we want to cover is something that it wasn't until I think about 2 years ago now. I feel like it's been 2 years, it might have been longer. Facebook ads, Facebook implemented this new thing called special ad categories. So the backstory behind this is actually that people were abusing their ability to run strategic advertising within real estate, right? imagine like back in the day, like we used to make a killing.
Yeah.
Like we were paying pennies for buyer leads because you could get so specific with the targeting with your Facebook ad. You could do it based on age, you could do it based on zip code. We were able to create different ads, like a specific type of ad for females and a specific type of ad specific for like males, and what, you know, really speaks to them, and the copywriting and the images that we chose. We can't do any of that anymore, right? We used to be able to run ads based on people's income, based on what level of education they have, right? All kinds of demographics. But if you're listening to what I'm saying, something might pop in your head, something like, oh, that's actually technically discriminatory practices, right? So for the longest time, real estate businesses have never been able to run advertising in print media or TV media where they were specifically targeting in such a granular way, right? That wasn't allowed before. And then Facebook ads came along and, you know, changed the game. There was kind of no rules there. So obviously we all remember when Facebook was getting sued up the wazoo. I think they still are. And, you know, there was issues with data, and there was issues with, you know, housing discrimination. So they wound up creating these rules, which, yes, we pay more per lead after the fact, but I do think that it is wonderful that they have implemented this. Fair housing rules are there for a reason, and we have figured out ways to sort of bypass this, not in the sense that we are being discriminatory, but in the sense that we're being just as strategic as we were before. But instead of being able to have all these, you know, different demographics and age and all of this stuff that we could pick from, now we're running the ads in a way that does the same thing without doing that same thing, right? Which we'll talk about in a little bit. Okay, so special ad category rules is basically a little button that you're going to click on whenever you make an ad. And when you click on that button, which I'll show you in like 2 minutes, it's not going to allow you to target people for your Facebook ad based on age or zip codes or gender. And there's going to be a whole lot of demographics and behaviors that are just going to be like cut out. Like you're just not going to have the option to manipulate that whatsoever. All right. So we're going to get into creating the ad in just a second, but I want to share a strategy with you, because some of you might be thinking in terms of like, well, how does it work? You know, okay, fine. I set up the business manager. I set up the you know, my business page there. I made the Facebook ads manager. I set up my pixel. It's connected to my website. Now what? How much do I spend? What can I expect, right? How should I do this? And before I break this down, I want to put out a sort of disclaimer, right? So for those of you who are more experienced, you might know this. For those of you who are getting started, or maybe you're a newer real estate agent, or you're an experienced real estate agent, but you're not familiar with online lead generation, right? And I'm even talking like separate from Zillow. When it comes to online lead generation, the average real estate agent has a 1% conversion ratio. All right. So this means that the average real estate agent, right? No like crazy awesome skills, ability to convert on the phone. The average real estate agent, 1% conversion ratio. This means that for every 100 leads, every 100 online leads, that real estate agent is going to convert one person, just one. So if you think about that in terms of, okay, let's say that I fall into that category and I want to have 12 closings this year. That would mean that you would need to generate 1,200 online leads across 12 months in order to, in theory, more or less get 12 closings. So when you think about that math, right, and you think about, okay, what should my budget be for Facebook ads? It all depends. Every market area has a different cost per lead, right? Every type of ad has a different cost per lead, right? Your targeting strategies, all of that stuff. I kid you not when I say that you can have a lot of success with Facebook ads and you don't have to spend a ton of money, but you want to make sure that you're doing it in a way that it's going to actually give you a return on your investment. And part of that is being smart within your business and understanding the numbers. making sure that you know, okay, if I want X amount of closings to come specifically from these online leads, I need this many online leads generated. So I need to make sure that my Facebook ad strategies actually cater to this, and my Facebook ad budget actually caters to this, right? So let's talk about the $20 a day strategy. So this is actually a really fun one. And this is going to be $600 a month, but don't worry, I'm going to show you how to cut it in half. Now, the $20 a day Facebook ad strategy would mean actually running Facebook ads for $10 a day, right? And you could split this across 2 different ads if you wanted to, but you're going to run Facebook ads for $10 a day. And then training for another day, you're going to run $5 a day YouTube pre-roll ads, right? Now, I'm talking video ads that play in the beginning of a video according to targeting, right? Depending on what people are watching, what they're searching on Google. If they've been looking up, wanting to see houses, and you run a $5 a day YouTube pre-roll ad, you're going to get different leads than you would get on Facebook, right? So the point here is to have variety, right? And then you're going to run $5 a day retargeting ads. Because a lot of the time you'll run a Facebook ad and you won't get that person to click on your website the very first time, especially if it's their very first time being exposed to you and your brand and the type of ad that you're running, right? So adding retargeting into there is a great idea. And if you are someone who doesn't necessarily run Facebook ads, but you get a lot of organic social media traffic, right? I think there's some people in here who fall into that category. You can just use that organic social media traffic to literally like double down on your brand and just run the $5 a day retargeting ad so that you're constantly in front of their face, regardless of the algorithm, and you're following them across different websites, right? So this is the $20 a day Facebook ad strategy. It's $600 a month. Let's say that you don't have this kind of budget right now, or you don't know and don't feel like learning how to run YouTube pre-roll ads. That is totally fine. We actually don't run YouTube pre-roll ads anymore. Different conversation for a different day, but you can shorten it down to $7 a day. Right? So $7 a day Facebook ads and $5 a day in retargeting ads. Right? So this is something that's very, very doable. All right. Everybody still with me? Have I lost anyone? I want to make sure that we are all good. Can you put inside of the chat that you're still alive and kicking? I'm going to sip a cup of coffee. Don't worry, it's decaf. If you guys follow me, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. No coffee after 3 p.m. At least coffee that has caffeine in it. Awesome. Alex is asking if he should play music again. Get hype, everybody. So we're actually going to create an ad now. So at least I think so. Let's see where this presentation takes me. So we are inside of the ads manager, and we're going to create an ad. So let's talk about your campaign objectives. There's quite a few options here. And I, for one, personally, I want to say like 6 years ago now, it's been 6 years ago, I was very confused. I was in here like traffic, brand awareness. I want brand awareness, reach. I want to reach people, store traffic. I don't really have a store, although I guess properties are like my store. There's a lot of options here to choose from. So let's talk about the ones that actually work. So I want to point out one in particular that works, but we don't use because we found some issues with it. And you might have had a different experience with it. That's totally okay. I'm not here to go back and forth. I would love to do that over coffee on a different Zoom. But in the middle, the one that says lead generation towards the bottom on top of messaging. So right in the middle, lead generation. This is probably the most talked about real estate Facebook ad. You see the Facebook ads gurus across YouTube and Facebook and Instagram always shouting from the rooftops, lead generation ads for real estate agents, get leads, yada, yada, easy. You don't need a website. And it's true, it's easy to set it up. But the downside to this, and here's why we don't use it anymore, is we noticed that the cost per lead was higher than the other strategies that I'm going to talk about in a second. We also noticed that a lot of the phone numbers and emails that we were getting from these leads based on the particular lead generation ad one, they weren't accurate, right? Like it's like doo 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 and emails that would bounce, which was very frustrating because we were spending quite a bit of money. Now, another thing to keep in mind is the one that I'm talking about, lead generation, that is the particular one where you run an ad, a buyer or seller clicks on it, and what they do is they fill in their name, email, phone number without ever having left the Facebook app or website. And then they hit submit, you get the information, and so on and so forth, right? Nothing necessarily wrong with it, but what I noticed was that for me personally, and I know a few other people who are like this too, my Facebook account does not have my actual phone number associated with the account. I know that's not great, and I'm a really tech savvy person, and I can imagine the sheer number of people who have had a Facebook account since 2008, 2009, 2010, 2012, even years ago, where they started their account with a number that they no longer have access to, or they started their account with an email address that they no longer have access to. And for these lead generation ads, what happens is the buyer or seller or renter clicks on the ad, this form pops up still within Facebook, and it actually auto-populates their info most of the time, right? So that's what we were finding back when we were doing it, and it didn't make sense, right? So we don't use that one. Now, the two that we do use that work are the traffic one, all the way in the middle, all the way to the top, the traffic one, and the conversion one. Now, what do you want to accomplish, right? What is it that you're looking to do? Are you looking to get a lot of traffic on your real estate website, or are you looking to get a lot of leads, right? So if you're looking to get a lot of leads, right, I would go with conversions, right? Because the idea is you want to convert. Now, it might sound like, oh, duh. So what would you use traffic for? Well, I'll tell you. Let's say that your main focus is that you want to build brand, right? Let's say that your main focus, or let's say that you have a big enough budget to allocate some to conversion so that you can lead generate, and you have a big enough budget to allocate some to just traffic, right? This is where you can send leads to things like blog posts on your real estate website, or property tours on your real estate website, and things like that. Things where you want as many people as possible to go there, right? But you're not necessarily like, oh, I have to get leads, like this needs to pay for the leads, right? If you're in a situation where you want your strategy to be, okay, I just want to lead generate, go with conversions. Right now, after you select conversions, this blue button over here on the bottom right, that's gonna turn regular blue, and you're gonna be able to scroll down. So when you scroll down on here, you're gonna see that you have the option to name your campaign, your ad set, and your ads, right? So let me explain campaign, ad set, and ads, because you can have multiple ads inside of an ad set, and you can have multiple ad sets inside of a campaign. So hear me out. Think of a campaign like, I want to say some of us, most of us were a little older in the 90s, even the early 2000s. Think about Calvin Klein, for example, and this applies to any brand. We could even say H&M. Now, Calvin Klein will have an ad campaign for their fall winter collection, right? Now, they will have a fall winter collection ad campaign, but the ad sets, right? That's the specific situations, the specific, what would I say? Marketing collateral that they're using, right, within the campaign. So for example, hear me out. You've got the campaign. Calvin Klein is like, I want to do a fall winter collection. The ad sets is, okay, we're going to do some billboards over here. We're going to do some taxi cab ads over here. And we're going to do a TV commercial over here, right? So it's 3 different options. Then you have the individual ads themselves at the bottom, which is, okay, we're going to have 3 different types of billboards, one with a male model, one with a female, and one where they're both on the beach in their jeans and it's a black and white photo. And then we're going to have 3 different types of taxi cab images for the ad. And then we're going to have 1 type of commercial. This is essentially how that breaks down. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to get crazy like that. It does not have to get all complex like that. That is honestly, it's an advanced strategy to be able to have it set up where you know what you're doing and you have it set up that way. It's perfectly fine to have one campaign, one ad set, one ad. In fact, I set it up like that for, I want to say the majority out of 6 years, maybe like 4 of them. It's only recently, since we have the e-commerce business, and we now run ads that, you know, go to different team members. It's only recently that we set it up a little more complex, but you absolutely don't have to do it that way. You can just do 1, 1, 1, right? Straight down. So when you actually, let me just backtrack, hit that blue continue button, right? Because you're just going to name your campaign, name your ad set, and name your ad. And the point of naming those is like winter buyer leads, right? And then maybe your ad set is like the specific county that you're generating buyer leads in. And then the specific ad is maybe the specific property that you're trying to generate leads for. Right, just as an example of how you could name them, so that way your ads are organized when you're looking on the back end of your ads manager later on, and you're looking at all those metrics that we were talking about in the beginning, right? Impressions, cost per click, and all of that stuff. So here we are, special ad category. All right, now the special ad category is just a little button, like I said before. You'll toggle it on, and you're going to make sure that you select housing. I cannot stress it enough. Make sure that you do not skip this step, because I promise you, your ad will get rejected. It might go through at first, but it'll without a doubt get rejected. And what you want to do is be very careful with getting your ads rejected, because I found out the hard way, not through real estate, but through our e-commerce business, that if you have your ad rejected enough times, Facebook will actually ban your ads account. And when I tell you, I'm going to curse, when I tell you it's a pain in the ass to get back on and out of Facebook jail, I kid you not, you don't want to do it to yourself. So make sure that you toggle on that special ad category thing. Don't try to get around it. Don't try to outsmart Facebook. They've thought of everything, I promise you. Just go with it. So let's talk about this little button on the bottom, right? So just in terms of if anyone feels lost, like, oh, what pages are you going to? Like, what the heck? Where have we gone? I just want to remind you that literally all we did was hit the green create button. Then we selected our specific strategy, which was conversions, right? On the right side, we chose conversions. And then we just gave our advertising campaign a name, right? We named the different sections, and then we hit continue, and it brought us to this new page. And in this new page, we made sure that we selected special ad category. We chose housing, right? And then all we did was scroll down. So these two sections were on the same page. All we did was scroll down. So campaign budget optimization. I think a great way to explain this is a new feature that Facebook rolled out last year. And how it works is, imagine as a real estate agent, if you could go to the post office and tell the post office, hey, I want to run three mailer campaigns with my postcards. And these are the 3 different zip codes that I want to send my postcards to. But I want you to not send postcards to certain areas if you don't think they're going to be interested, right? So imagine if you could give USPS the power to spend your money more effectively, right? So if USPS decides on their own, like, oh, you know what? I don't think there's going to be a lot of sellers in this particular section of the zip code, so we're not going to waste your postcards over there. We're going to send double the amount of postcards over here, because there's a lot of homeowners who purchased 7 years ago in this section, right? So imagine if you could do that. It's not an option with USPS, although that would be fantastic. It is, however, an option with Facebook, right? Because remember, we talked about that you could run multiple ads within a campaign. So imagine that you're running 3 types of ads, and you're telling Facebook, hey, I want to spend $20 a day, but I want you to spend that $20 wisely. So if Facebook sees that one particular ad is not performing well, it'll reallocate that money to the other 2 ads, right? And then based on what's going on, you looking at your metrics and making, strategic decisions about your advertising, you'll just toggle off the ads that aren't working. And then Facebook can understand, like, okay, let's throw all the money this way, right? So one thing that I want to point out is that you want to make sure green, this This green arrow over here, do not ignore this section. Alex and I actually, mostly Alex, made the mistake of one time choosing a daily budget, $350. What we meant to do was pick lifetime budget, $350. So essentially we got a buyer lead, but we paid $350 for it, right?
It was 2 leads, okay?
It was 2 leads. Okay. So we paid half of that. Still, you don't want to be spending that much. If that's happened to anyone else in this room, please share so we don't feel alone. So that's pretty much it for this section. From there, what you would want to do is just hit the next button, right? Which is going to be towards the right-hand side. It's just not shown on this screen. So we're in a new section. If you look on the top left area, where we were before was campaign, right? So campaign test name. I don't know which way to point over here. I think it's this way. So to the left of the screen, there's campaign test name, ad set test name, and then ad test name, right? So this whole section over here with the special ad categories and campaign budget optimization, that happened at the campaign level. Now we're headed towards the ad set level. This is where your pixel comes into play, right? And this is where you build your audience. So you're going to make your pixel should be connected, right? If it's working, if you actually set it up, right? Your pixel should be working. And if you ran a conversion ad, you have the ability to connect the pixel to it. So what you're going to do is pick whichever option it is that you're looking to get. So as real estate agents, I would highly recommend choosing lead, just because that is obviously what you're looking to get. You're looking for people to convert on your website. Right, so you can see on the right-hand side that you have your audience definition, and that tells you the potential reach based on what it is that you're setting up here, right? So if we scroll down, we're going to get to the audience area. So we're still on the same page. All we did was scroll down from the pixel area to the audience area. This is where your strategy comes into play. So remember, I said that you cannot you cannot target based on age, you cannot target based on gender, right? And you cannot target based on zip code. Whatever location you're targeting in, it's going to be within a 15-mile radius, right? So that being said, you're going to want to be as strategic as possible with this. And I'll show you some targeting options right towards the end. We're coming towards the Q&A section of this, right? So there's going to be another question on this specific page, right? So we're on the same page. All we did was scroll. Automatic placements versus manual placements. If you're just getting started with ads, just choose automatic placements. It's all good. Like that's going to be your best bet, because this means that the ads themselves are going to run across Facebook, Instagram. It's going to run through video scrolling. It's going to run across the Facebook ads network, which actually is kind of similar to the Google ads network, where you probably see Facebook ads on different websites that you visit, like news websites and gossip websites and certain blog websites and things like that. Now, something about websites, your particular website, you want to make sure that when you're running these ads, your website is optimized for lead generation. So what exactly do I mean by that? For example, Alex and I, we've got KV Core, so we have real estate websites. And those particular websites, whenever someone visits the website and they click on a property to view the pictures and the information about the property, our website asks them immediately for their name, email, phone number, right? So this means that our website is set up for lead generation. What you don't want to do, right? Please don't do this. Don't send people from your Facebook ad to your broker's website. I have seen this. That is just, don't do that. I know a lot of brokers out there, they don't mean to do it with malice, but they're like, here's our website. And they'll kind of like round robin leads, or maybe they won't even round robin the leads. They'll kind of just keep it for themselves. I don't know what the situation is, but you don't want to be sending potential leads to your broker's website if it's not going directly to you. That just doesn't make sense, right? And if you do have a real estate website, what you don't want to be doing is sending the potential leads to your homepage. You don't want to send them to your homepage, because 9.5 out of 10 times, real estate websites are like the homepage are not set up for lead generation. Someone shouldn't be going from a Facebook ad and then arriving at your homepage and seeing like this enormous team photo or like nice headshot of you, and then all these different options for different properties that they should browse, and checking out your blog section of your website and contact phone number. No, you want to streamline it. You want it to be very, very simple so that when a buyer or seller clicks on your Facebook ad, they arrive to the place that they were expecting. So if you're running an ad to get buyer leads, you want to set up a landing page or a squeeze page that has something on it that buyers would want, like access to viewing a list of the current properties on the market, or a first-time home buyer ebook and things like that. And I'll give you examples in like 2 minutes, right? So I just want to put that out there because it's a huge mistake that I see a lot of real estate agents making. Don't send them to the homepage of your website. Don't send them to your broker's website. It doesn't make sense, right? So here's an example of an actual ad that generated quite a lot of leads. Take a look at it, right? So we didn't just do a simple property photo. And even more so that I think is worth pointing out here, this photo wasn't a professional photograph, right? This is a property that we sold. Unfortunately, there weren't any, professional photos of it. We snapped this photo from our camera phone, like literally at the final walkthrough. It's not the best, in my opinion, as a photographer, but it worked, right? You don't have to have the best photos for these ads to work, right? And the cool thing is that this ad actually worked as a lead generation ad, but it also works as a branding ad because we included the logo and the fact that the property was just sold. Right? Now, what's interesting is that this particular ad is showcasing that a property was sold, yet it generated buyer leads for us. And why is that? If you look at the bottom, it says view homes just like this one. That is the CTA. That is the call to action. Learn more. So everyone knows when they see this ad, okay, if I click that, I'm going to see other homes just like this one. This one's sold, but I can see others like it, right? And this works. Now, here's another example. This is probably our best performing ad. And I think that the reason that this is one of our best performing ads is that this actually is a carousel ad, which means that Facebook has the ability to choose which image and which text on the carousel, right? You can see that there's 1, 2, 3, there's 6 carousel cards here, right? So each of them have a different image, and each of them have a different line of copy. Now, what's cool is that Facebook can decide, okay, people are reacting more to this one versus the other one. Let me show this card first so that we can generate as many leads as possible to convert on this real estate website for this specific ad, right? So you want to play around with things like this. This is where you can have fun with Facebook ads in terms of testing the waters and seeing what's getting done. And now imagine, remember we talked about frequency in the beginning of this training? And we said that frequency is the amount of times a person sees your particular ad. Imagine if there's a buyer or seller out there seeing this particular ad from our real estate team, but they're seeing it 3 or 4 times, and they're seeing a different card first each time, right? There's only 6 cards here. This isn't all of the business that we've accomplished, but this one ad is able to hit on that potential buyer or seller multiple times, whether they converted or not. Right? And that can be very powerful for your brand, for your business, for your lead generation goals, right? This is good stuff. So let's talk about targeting. I'm showing you the actual back end here of what targeting we use. You don't have to pay attention to the location area because obviously you are in your own market, and where you want to, generate leads from is totally up to you. Now, again, we can't touch age, we can't touch gender, but we can touch language, and we can touch the detailed targeting area for certain demographics and behaviors, right? So languages. I highly recommend that if you only speak English, make sure you toggle English. If you have bilingual or multilingual team members and you're cool with, sending those multilingual or different language speaking buyers or sellers their way, then absolutely pick multiple languages. But we used to not choose languages, and we would get a lot of Spanish speaking buyers. And back then, not now, but back then, we didn't have anyone that was really like fluent multilingual on the team. So we had to learn to just put English, right? Now, detailed targeting. Look at what we've got here. Interest, right? Mortgage calculator, right? This is for a buyer ad. We have a different training on seller ads. If you guys are interested in that, let us know. But for the buyer ad, we have the mortgage calculator as an interest, mortgage loans, first time buyer, interest rate, Trulia, homes.com, Zillow, house hunting, starter home, first time home buyer grant, or pre-qualification lending, right? So these are things that most first time home buyers or home buyers in general will look up. And sometimes some sellers will look this up too. Every now and then you get a buyer who is a seller, right? Very simple targeting. Keep in mind with Facebook ads, you want to just test, right? Don't obsess about which targeting should I use. I need to be strategic as possible, right? You never know what's going to work. And I actually invite you to, when you run these ads, bring a team member with you or a team leader or an admin or even like a family friend and ask them like, what do you think I should put inside of the targeting area? Because they might come up with things that you might not have thought of, right? So here's an example of a branding ad. So for brand purposes, for Alex and I, we had a property tour that we did that was more so like personality based. You got our personality at the beginning half of the video, and then you got the property tour, right? So the purpose of this ad in particular was not to generate leads, right? We ran this particular ad with the strategy of doing video views, right? So we didn't do conversion, we didn't do traffic, we did video views. And the point was to get as many people as possible to watch this property tour. And if they're interested in selling their home or buying, they could probably click through or contact us. Otherwise, they would just see our faces and know that we are local, right? So what are some different types of lead generation ads that you can set up, right? And I just want to put out there, we're at the Q&A portion in about 120 seconds. So if you have questions that you want answered, you can start to put them in the chat now, or alternatively, once I finish this up, we'll open up the mics and see what kind of questions we have, okay? So types of lead generation ads. We have the property list access, right? So your general IDX website, you can go ahead and promote that, which are the exact ads that we showed you. Those just went to a regular squeeze page for IDX properties that get pulled from the MLS. You could do a new listing squeeze page, which is always cool. We're actually in the midst of running that ad today because we have a number of different listings that we want to promote, generate more leads from them, and possibly get some more buyers for the listings themselves. So new listing squeeze pages are great. You can also do buyer swipe up ads. So something that's really cool is if you're like really active on Instagram, and let's say that you don't have 10K or you do have 10K, but you want to get more leads, right? In terms of followers, but you want to get more leads. You can run an Instagram story only ad where you tell people, like, you basically look in the camera and you're like, hey, it's Amanda with the Ian Alexander Real Estate Team. If you're interested in buying a home in 2021, swipe up now to view the newest homes for sale. Easy, 15 seconds, done. Throw that into an ad, see how it performs, send them to a property list squeeze page or a new listing squeeze page. You're good to go, right? That's another type of lead generation ad. You can also do a video tour ad, right? There's an asterisk there just to let you guys know that, it depends what kind of campaign objective you choose, right? Conversion, traffic, video views, etc. You can do an ebook download, right? We have someone on our team right now who she created this awesome ebook for sellers, right? Like preparing your home for sale in a pandemic, which was awesome. And then she created a buyer ebook, and she's actually running ads where the sellers can sign up to then get that ebook, which is cool because that's different than a home valuation. And it's not like a 1-page or 2-page ebook. It's pretty in depth. So amazing. And then she has that set up to a smart campaign, right? So we have KV Core. So that smart campaign actually follows up with the sellers like while she's in her sleep. And it's great because now she gets to have this organic conversation with the sellers that she's generating from this ad, which is awesome. You can also do a dynamic property ad. We won't talk about that, but if you want to do some research on your own and figure that out, that's a fun one. You could do an ad for an educational event. So just like you guys are here right now with me in this Facebook ads training, you could be having sellers, buyers, FSBOs, expireds inside of a Zoom in a training with you where you ran an ad for it, they signed up for it, and now they're in this room with you just like you guys are with us, right? It's very possible. We actually have a training on how to host online events at designedforagents.com if you guys want to check that out. You could do a market report ad, which newsflash, Serhant team, we all know Ryan Serhant, he actually runs a market report ad for his new real estate brokerage, right? Then you can do just sold, and you can also do blog post ads. Those are all lead generation ads. Branding ads, on the other hand, are what you see here, right? So promoting an open house, doing something along the lines of like a video entertainment ad or an ad with a real estate meme in it, but that's specific to buyers and sellers, right? Or an educational ad where you record a video sharing advice for first-time home buyers or advice for sellers gearing up to hit the market, right? You can record a video like that and turn it into an ad. Everything that you see here all falls into the category of branding ads, and some of them double dip into lead generation ads. So let's open it up for Q&A. Let's see. I think we have questions. Help me out here, Alex. I see that you were answering some.
Rodney was asking your opinion on Wix.
So opinion on Wix?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So Wix, I think that Wix, so for those of you who don't know, Wix is similar to Squarespace, which is similar to like some of the other websites out there, Squarespace, WordPress, things like that. Wix is actually very awesome in the sense that you can create a really beautiful website, and it allows you to customize a lot of things that a lot of other website hosts and providers do not offer you the same flexibility unless you have that tech savvy to like develop a website or hire someone or pay for an expensive template. So Wix is awesome in that sense. Where I will say it falls short in terms of real estate is that it doesn't have the smoothest pairing, in my opinion. It doesn't pair so smoothly with IDX solutions, right? So when you think about the purpose of a real estate website, yeah, it's nice to have a website and show face on the internet and, you know, have your brand out there, but you want to be generating business from your website because at the end of the day, it's an expense for you. So you want to make sure that your website is one that actually is going to help you generate leads and not make it confusing or send them away, right? Sometimes having a really beautiful, fully customized, very brand centric website is not worth it when you could have a kind of like out of the box, it's okay looking, but it generates a lot of leads, right? Which one would you rather have? You have to think about what your strategy is, right? All depends. I hope that helps answer this question.
So another question that was pretty good is, can you stop the ads at any time or customize the days of when you want to run them?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can actually set up an ad and then have that ad run on a specific time. So let's say, for example, you have a new listing coming up, but it's not going to hit the market until like February 15th. What you would do is set up that ad and then have it set to run February 15th at, you know, midnight, 12:01 a.m., February 15th, it gets launched. And then you can run it for 5 days or you could run it for 14 days. You want to run it for the whole month. It's totally up to you. You can turn them on and off.
Yeah, two main ones. Does anyone else have
any questions? If you guys want to unmute yourselves.
I have a question, Amanda. How are you? I'm Rennis with Renovision. We spoke a few times back and forth. What's going on?
Hey.
All right, so I have a few questions. I'm sorry if I bother you with it, but so I've been running ads for a while now. But so with Wix again, you said that for some reason it doesn't generate more leads than others.
It's not that it doesn't generate more leads. It's just about how Wix hooks up with the IDX solution that you're using. Because there's different IDX solutions out there. So
what's an IDX? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Sure. So for example, if no one knows what IDX is, a great example is to go to idxbroker.com. This is a website that we used to use before we moved over to EXP, and it's a great solution. It hooks up to WordPress and to Squarespace. I'm not sure if it works with Wix, but the idea is that It's something that you plug into your website, you connect it, and basically it takes all of the listings that are on the MLS that you're a part of, and it syndicates it. So it sends it to your real estate website. And then from there, buyers and sellers can browse those properties just like they would on Zillow. So Zillow uses an IDX solution.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, let's see here. And then, are you a fan of any CRMs? Like what CRM are you running in the background,
Yeah,
if you
so
are any?
I'm super biased. I'll give you like top 3. So I'm
Okay.
biased because we just hit our 1-year anniversary with eXp Realty, and we do have access to KV Core. Not pushing eXp on anyone in here, but I will say that even aside from eXp, KV Core is pretty phenomenal. It's a lead generation monster, and it's an all-in-one. The only downside to KV Core is that if you're just getting it on your own, it's going to run you between $300 and $700, depending on what it is that you're using. So it can
That's
be
for the year or the month?
a month.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah. So it's pretty pricey.
nice.
Yeah. For us, we don't pay anything, but it's pricey per month. If we weren't with EXP, we probably wouldn't have even gotten it. Now, before EXP, one that I know Alex loved that he had in particular was Lion's Desk. So I think, in my opinion, it's compatible,
That one.
right?
Yeah, I think Lions Nest is the most compatible.
Yeah, so Lion's Desk is a great CRM, especially for real estate. It's compatible with KV Core in terms of how robust it is and what it can do for you. The only downside is that when you go to Lion's Desk, it looks like it's really cost effective, but all of the really cool stuff like texting your leads from your CRM and sending video messages and like sending out e-blasts and stuff like that, it's like they upsell you for the different tools. So it
I
starts.
see. So whatever you use, I got you.
Yeah,
It adds more on top of it. Okay.
exactly.
And what was the third one? You had a third one?
Yeah, the third one,
Sorry.
I am torn between Pipedrive and HubSpot. So HubSpot is really great if you're just starting out and you kind of want to have something, free. That's a great one. The paid one is even better because you could do a lot of cool stuff in there. Pipedrive, on the other hand, is very much, it's a visual CRM. So it looks really good. You can create different pipelines. So you could have your leads inside of that particular CRM. And what's cool is they let you set it up where certain things can happen, like certain messages and emails can go out to those leads, depending on where they are in the pipeline, if they're just a new lead or under contract or in the inspection phase, and you can create the different sections of the pipeline. So you don't necessarily have to be in real estate to use it.
Got you. And then I promised last question.
No, you can have as many as you want, and if anybody's got to leave, they can go.
All right. That's so for the landing page, right? I'm sorry, for the for the conversion page, right? So basically you said a squeeze page, right? So before I ask what's a squeeze page, I'm gonna have to kind of like maybe talk to you how I did it or how I've been doing it. And I'm coming from a background of, weddings and photography and videography for that, right? Nice. So I use Honeybook on that end, right? Like on the CRM side of things. That's what I'm familiar with. But so as far as the conversions, right? When they come in, I usually put in my page where you fill out a form, which is linked to my Honeybook, right? And then once you fill out that form and you press submit, you go to the next page where it says, oh, thank you for submitting the form. We'll get back to you whenever, right? So that's that's how conversion is counted on my end when it comes to that, right? So it's like, okay, I'm running a conversion and set up for that page. So anybody that lands there, it's pretty much is counting me as a conversion. In this, like for like the real estate or like the listings and the buyers and the sellers, is that kind of like the same mentality or maybe define a little bit more of the squeeze page?
Same thing. So what I'll tell you is 2 things. First thing is it's technically the same thing in terms of you're getting them to go to a page, they're filling out a form, and then they're probably being sent to another page after that. If you're doing a landing page. Now, the problem with the marketing and advertising industry is that landing pages and squeeze pages are kind of used interchangeably in terms of like the jargon, like the lingo of it. For us, a landing page is, a lot of you might have signed up on it where you arrived on this web page. There was some details about what you might be signing up for, and then it asked you for your name, email, phone number, right? And there was kind of nowhere else to click out of that. A squeeze page is similar, but it can be set up different, and it can have like, it could be a much longer page, right? So the idea of a squeeze page is exactly like the phrase. It's trying to squeeze the information out of you. So usually a squeeze page is used for higher priced products, right? Or in the terms of real estate, where you need to show a more of a variety of products, right? So the products being the properties, right? So for real estate squeeze pages, it usually entails having multiple properties on a page and the buyer or seller having the ability to click one or two and then finally give up their information.
Gotcha. And that would be on the same as the website, right? It's not like a
Yep.
completely different, network or whatever. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good for that. Thank you.
Anybody else want to unmute
Yeah,
themselves?
So I got the question.
Okay.
So what are the benefits of using a pixel? Are you able to run them with just other steps you mentioned prior?
Yeah. Okay. So what are the benefits of using a Facebook pixel is the first part, right?
Yeah.
So the benefits of using a Facebook pixel is, even if you don't have plans on running retargeting ads in the future, it's still good to collect that information nonetheless, because let's say you're in your first 2 years of real estate and then year 4 or even year 3, you change your mind and you're like, you know what, I've built a team now. I want to, retarget everybody who's ever visited my website. If you waited until year 3 to set that up, now you don't have any of that data. As opposed to if you set up the Facebook pixel from get-go, you're collecting that data, and over time, you're gonna build quite a bit of data in there that you can then use to run a retargeting campaign. Another great thing is that you want to make sure that you don't skimp out on the Facebook pixel, just in terms of like having the ability to possibly create a lookalike audience, right? We mentioned lookalike audiences in the beginning and how that was a more advanced strategy and a training for a different day. But essentially, you could take all that data that you've compiled, and then instead of running like fresh ads to just, anything in that targeting realm that we talked about today, you could actually take all that data from your physical website and tell Facebook, hey, I want to target people specifically who match similar criteria as the other people who have visited my website in the past, right? So I want to create I want to make a resemblance, right? I want to make a mirror image of whoever visited my website and converted in the past. I want to make a lookalike audience of them and run ads to those people specifically, not to everybody, right? What was the second part of the question?
Are you able to run them with just the other steps you mentioned prior?
Yes, so you can run Facebook ads without having the Facebook pixel set up. It's 100,000% possible. In fact, if you're having trouble setting up the Facebook pixel, but you want to get started right away, go ahead, just do like a traffic ad. You could try the lead gen ad, but I would go with traffic just to get as many people to your website as possible. But yeah, I would recommend going with the pixel just from jump to get it set up. But if you're not quite there yet, it's okay. You can start the ads no matter what.
Okay. So we got a question from Monica.
Mhm.
How long after you publish an ad would you say it takes to get results?
Great question. So what you want to do is, after you publish a Facebook ad, you want to give it about 48 to 72 hours. And the reason is that Facebook uses AI technology in order to push these ads out. And part of that process is the ad has an algorithm, and that algorithm is learning how to position this ad across the Facebook network to see what's going to work best. So you want to give it 48 to 72 hours to kind of do its thing and see like, okay, is this ad better on Facebook? Is it better on mobile? Is it better on Instagram? Is it better in the Facebook ads network where it kind of gets dispersed across these news sites and things like that, right? Give it some time to do its thing. You can check it every morning if you want to. But at mark 72, I'd say look at it and make your best guess in terms of what you might need to change, or if you're going to just let it do its thing and it's going well.
Okay. So we have another question.
Mhm.
Do the ads run automatically in Instagram as well?
Yep. So if you have an Instagram, here's the kicker. Your Facebook ads will run on Instagram if you have an Instagram business account connected to that Facebook page, right? So you can't have a personal Instagram account and run Facebook ads and then expect it to get pushed to that personal Instagram. It won't happen.
And we got a question. Is Facebook ads better than direct mail?
Ooh, is Facebook ads better than direct mail? I guess it would depend on the type of direct mail. I'll be honest with you all, probably the best lead generation strategy that costs you $0. It costs time, but it'll cost you $0 are open houses. We actually like did our own little in-house study and we were blown away. Open houses are definitely the top tier, but Facebook ads versus direct mail. If you're doing postcards, I would say Facebook ads. Postcards are going to help you build brand, but those as well, it's a 1%,
Yeah.
1 to 4% conversion ratio, depending on how often you're sending the mailers. Now, I'll give you a caveat there. If you are doing mailers in terms of like, let's say that you have a buyer and that buyer is interested in a particular type of property in a specific farm area and the inventory is not available and you wanted to send a personalized letter and give that to each homeowner in the area and say, hey, I'm not looking to bother you for a listing. I'm looking to set up a sale for my client who, you know, is looking for something particular. That's going to have a really high conversion rate versus sending out postcards in comparison to Facebook ads. But I would say just in terms of the numbers, like lead generation wise, Facebook ads is going to give you more. In terms of conversion, it depends on your skill set once you get people on the phone, and it depends on your marketing strategy. What do your postcards look like? What's your CTA on those?
Do you mind if I?
Yeah, chime in, just talk loud. I'll mute myself.
Okay, so I would also say that it has to definitely be a marketing mix. So you want to make sure that you're doing multiple like flows, trying to get lead sources. Like you want to use multiple lead sources in order to generate your business. You don't want to just focus solely on one thing, which could be, let's say, Facebook ads. If you solely do that, then when Facebook changes its algorithm, you're asked out, right? So you want to make sure that you're kind of have multiple ways of getting this business.
Any other questions?
Yeah, there's a couple more.
Okay.
So Josh asks, how many leads are you seeing it takes to convert a lead to someone looking to actually buy within 1 to 3 months?
Mhm.
And then on those, what percentage do you see actually converting to a sale?
Yeah. So for the first section, what you're looking at on average, it's difficult. For Alex, it's usually like
3%. Okay, 3 or 4%.
yeah, he's had some times where it was like 6 out of 100, and he's had some times where it was 3 out of 100 in terms of the numbers there. But he's been in the business for almost 8 years, right? For some of our newer agents, they're having a little bit more of a struggle, but that's just about role playing and all that jazz. So it really depends on the skill set. If you're more experienced, more skilled on the phone and you're able to book those appointments, it's going to be higher. So I would say the average between like everyone on the team is probably like 2% for the leads who come in, right? Then from there, those trickle into appointments. Yeah, I'll mute. Go ahead.
So I could talk on the 1 to 3 months. So on average, I would find that are looking in the 1 to 3 month range, you're looking at like a good like 4 or 5% that are just ready right now. Most of the people that you're going to get with Facebook ads are 6 months out or longer. That's why a CRM is very important, because the automation is basically going to keep contact with these people so that you're going to be able to convert these people later. So you're not actually running ads to them over and over and over again. Your CRM is taking care of the follow-up for you. So you're not actually, constantly just reaching out. Does that make sense?
And I'll actually add I'll add on top of that something that's important to say that I think we didn't say in the training, which is you have to keep in mind how these ads, how these leads come in, right? When you think about something like Zillow, right? I can actually show you right now all of the ads that Zillow is running. Every single ad across the whole world, right? One thing that they have in common is that their ads look just like the ads that I showed you. Theirs just don't say Ian Alexander Real Estate Team at EXP, right? Now, what's cool is you have to understand this. With Zillow Premier Agent, right, you are paying a premium because Zillow has a call center and Zillow is filtering out these wrong numbers, these bad emails, leads that are just like not ready right now, or that they clicked accidentally, right? Zillow's filtering out and you're paying for that, right? Now, if you're running the Facebook ads on your own, you don't have a call center, right? Unless you do, which is awesome. But if you don't have a call center, then you're going to be paying a lot less than Zillow Premier Agent. But at the same time, you're going to be getting a lot more leads and you have to do the filtering there, right? And then another thing you want to take into consideration is how these leads come into contact with Zillow versus your Facebook ads. Zillow is running Facebook ads and it's going to Zillow, right? But people actually know about Zillow until they visit Zillow on their own because they're in the moment of like, oh, I'm looking to buy a home. People come and they visit your website through your Facebook ads. They're coming there just off the sheer of like, oh, I was on my phone and I saw this property and ooh, cool. They might not be looking to buy now. They might have just liked the way the property looked or know somebody who's looking and they wanted to send it to them kind of thing. So it's a different demographic. You have to keep that in mind.
Okay. And also what I've seen too that has been a positive from running Facebook ads is that when they're going onto your website, they actually see your face. So when you're calling them within that 5 minutes, they didn't look from one listing to another listing on like these general websites. They actually know who's calling them. So it's a little less cold. So you kind of get that warm feeling. But that's also neither here or there because like there's a bunch of leads that are like, they're trying to order pizza or something. And I don't know how they got on your website, right? It does happen. So, you know, I just want to give my 2 cents.
Yeah, awesome. I love it because you've been in these Facebook ads just as much as I have. So I want to address a question Monica had. Is a creator account on Instagram considered a business account? Yes. It's a creator account, but you can run ads from it. It's totally, you're good to go. Any other questions before we wrap this? Let me see. I see Renovision had to go. Hello, did everyone enjoy this? Was this helpful? Was it, you know, did everything make sense? Was there anything that we touched on that you're kind of unclear about and you want us to just like reiterate before we go? Yeah. Yeah, so we do plan on doing more trainings and we actually have a lot of trainings at this website, designedforagents.com. Thank you everyone. So if you visit designedforagents.com, you'll actually see that there's an education area in there and you can watch, there's over 25 hours of recorded trainings there ranging from this Facebook training. We have advanced Facebook ad strategies that you could watch, you could sign up for to watch those. We also have how to convert buyer leads in case you're having success with your Facebook ads, but the buyers are not converting and you want to kind of figure out where's the discrepancy there. We have how to create online events, how to earn $200,000 a year as a real estate agent, how to design things on Canva, a whole lot of different trainings on there. All right, awesome. So I think we will wrap it up. Thank you everybody for spending your Monday evening with us. If you are on the Northeast coast in here, then you know it was a snow day. So we're excited that you guys could all make it with us tonight. And yeah, we'll see you guys on social media. I'm pretty sure Alex is going to send you guys a text. I know that we have a freebie that we're going to send your way. So thank you to all of you. And yeah, we'll see you on social media.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank
You're
you.
the best. Now going back to shoveling snow.
Good night, guys.
Good night. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Night.
Good night. Good night.